I'm going to go ahead and walk you through this look that we have here. How many of you are fans of Shades EQ Gloss?
Woo!
Yeah? Okay, we've heard of it. Well, we have some exciting news. We have a new 10 series coming out. It's about time, Redken, right? Because we all know we've all been trained levels 1 through 10, right? But our Shades EQ previously only went up to a 0.9. So we talk to them all the time, Lori, about using that crystal clear. Use that crystal clear, right? Deposit is a slow thing. You just had that cuticle open generally. You've bleached it, lightened it up. So we want deposit to be a slow thing. We want to do it on dry hair. I hear you guys talking about like maybe I use 5 towels to dry the hair these days and everything. If I can't blow dry it, that's the thing on Instagram that's happening now. But point is we want to put the shades on dry hair. I went in and used the new 10 series that we'll be talking about. There's a 10 violet, and there's a 10N, a 10 natural. So we went in and did some modern color blocking, getting the root drop in there and just going in and freehanding doing it and visually going in and doing what we're doing, but thinking about it, when you see a waterfall, water goes from the top to the bottom. So we're going to think about that idea intentionally when we're coloring the hair today. I'm Justin Isaac. I approve of this message.
I approve your message too.
Thank you.
I just love your theory of taking like fashion color and making it more wearable and just like, I don't know, more consumer friendly. Who in here gets to do fashion color, vivids, whatever you want to call it, a lot? Who gets to do it? That's good. Who wants to do it more? Yeah, right? Okay, so it's all about like finding that clientele or marketing and showing people that you can do it. And a lot of times that comes from just doing a lot of models, and I'll talk about that later. But this is my benchmark mannequin look that I'm doing here. How about some curtain bangs? Who's into those?
Yeah.
Yes. I cut my own. Thank God they don't look like crap. I also did so on this mannequin. I'll be posting a video. But basically, what I wanted to show with the City Beats is I want to emulate or duplicate kind of a balayage or a natural technique, but using fashion color to do it. So with me using the City Beats for this, you could totally substitute using Shades EQ or whatever you use to do the same kind of color melting balayage look with a color melt using natural colors. So it's versatile. Like, I want you guys to take this back to the salon and make money and have it be for everybody. So crank it up, have it be neons, or kind of tone it down and have it be like brunette and blonde and all that good stuff. Wearable. Wearable is the name of the game. Or you can go nuts and look like me or these ladies. So versatility. Yes. There you go.
Awesome. So how many of you guys are foiling in the salon? Right? You feel like we're pumping out those baby lights, heads full of 500 foils now. Everything's got to be teeny tiny and blended. So I'm working with a method called strategic foiling, and it's more of a foiling philosophy versus just specific placements. It's about using the round, using the round of the head and using intentional placements to create really blended looks with about a third less foils than we're normally doing in our foiling looks.
Preach, girl. How many less?
A third.
Hey,
What?
church.
30%. And recently, I've got a lot of inspiration from the 90s. We're seeing that in a lot of fashion, specifically the Spice Girls. Anybody Spice Girl fan?
Forgot about that.
Yes. So I recreated a shadow-rooted ginger spice by utilizing a round section right around the head. And you can really use this as bold or as soft as you want. I chose to do slices on the benchmark, and what you can see is that it was a circular section all the way around, and just by creating some blondness underneath, it actually gives an overall lighter result. So what that taught me is if we think a little bit more strategically on where we're placing the foils, we don't have to do as much work everywhere else. The rest of the head was only done in 10 foils. So really focusing on that one placement does a lot of work for us, so we have to do a little less. So I'm going to be demoing my placement on the front hairline here, showing you how I bricklay my foils. I'm going to be doing a weave on this mannequin, a woven placement. One of the things that I want you to pay attention to when I'm doing those is my ratios. They're going to shift as I move to the back of the head. I'm going to be weaving about 80% closer, and then it's going to get to about 60%. That small shift in detail does a lot of work for me, so I'm not having to go back in and tone all the dimension in there. It's getting left behind intentionally. So here's my ginger spice. We're going to recreate it on our beautiful model here, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yay.
Excellent. Well, since you told me, Cassandra, that I should use less foils, I just decided I needed to do something with my foils, so I'm making clips out of them.
I love it.
Okay.
It's resourceful.
Since you taught me that technique, I'm like, I listened. I'm there. I'm with you. Awesome, right? All right, so we're going to do something that you can do as bold or as soft as you want to, okay? So that's just going to depend on your flavors that you use, right, Jay?
That's right.
If you want to have like peanut butter and jam, or if you just want to have like some
Jam?
honey and peanut butter and
that
banana.
what you call it?
I mean, it all depends, right? So we're going to play around with what I've been seeing in fashion right now on Instagram is this whole top-bottom thing. You know what I mean? Like, not like we did at the beginning of the 2000s where it was like, either black there or black there. It's a little bit softer, so it's not like, oh God, a top layer of the cake and the bottom layer of the cake. It has a little bit more fluidity to it. So we're going to play around with that. We're going to play around with curved sections. What kind of section?
Curve.
Awesome. You guys are great. So let me kind of finish sectioning and I'll catch you up there.
Thank you, Lori. What? Now, I loved what you were talking about, the idea, right? We need to pay attention to trends and fads. Would you agree? Like, it's important to understand those things. We don't need to be driven by them because we want to be colorists that could do everything. Would you agree? Anything that walks in the salon, we don't want to turn it away, whether it's gray coverage, corrective color, vivids, pastels, whatever it is. So you need to have all your skills that you're able to do that. But it is important to follow trends. Why? Because that's what your clients are following. Would you agree? Yeah, that's what they're following, whether it's social media, however they're following it, they are, so you want to pay attention. And that's one of the things I think of when I'm doing this too, is there's these trends that last about 5 to 7 years, and there's these fads that are about 6 to 9 months. One of the things that I've been seeing too is the whole half head. Lori talked about top and bottom, but we've been seeing where there's a left and right side. You guys been seeing it, right? If any of you follow me on social media, World of Justin Isaac, I did my head like 2 weeks ago, half sides with the new 10 series, so you could see one side the 10VV, one side the 10N, so you could see a difference. That being said, that's how I started this look, because blondes want to have fun too, right? They want to be part of the trends. They don't want to just be balayage or baby lights like Cassandra was talking about. So the underneath section we went and did for the sake of time. So we went in and took 2 underneath sections that overlap each other in the back, my friends. So one goes to left corner back, the other one comes over and just crosses the center. It doesn't go all the way over. So what that means is, although this client is not going to have one side a violet, one side a natural, when they tuck their hair back between their ear, one side they could get just a natural, one side they could just get a violet. So you don't need to dive head first into every trend to participate. There can be part of your hair that could participate, because the reality is, Rebecca, we all want to be part of something. It's cool to be like, oh, I do my own thing, and like I got my own stylist, and like my tats are my own. Like, that's totally cool, and with all your piercings, but you're only alone when you're like at your kid's principal's office. You're only alone when you're not with your gang. Does that make sense? Because your gang all looks like you if you haven't looked at them, right? Like, look around the room. We're not lawyers.
Yeah.
Right? With respects to lawyers and all those people, like, it's a good time to be a hairdresser. It's a good time to be weird. It's a good time to have your hair a little ridiculous. And what I'd ask you right now, Cassandra and Lori, Rebecca, is, if not now, when?
Do it.
It's always a good time to be weird.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy, absolutely.
So
All right.
that's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. All right, so I wanted to show you this benchmark. This was my inspiration to begin with. This is what we did yesterday for the show and what I'm going to show you today. So you guys see how it kind of emulates the balayage, where it has the lighter pieces up front, and it's a really simple color melt, and it's all about tweaking your shadow root, which I'll show you in a minute. And if you guys could see what I've already done, you see how I didn't come down very far in the front, obviously. It's what you would do when you would be doing a shadow root with normal colors. And as I come normal, conventional, natural, whatever you'd like to call it, and as I come in the back, I'm like going down a lot further because I want it to look like what the sun would do. So obviously all the light stuff is going to be around the face, and all of the depth and the darkness is going to come from underneath. When I come back around for my other rotation, I'll show you actually how I mix the other colors. But who in here uses City Beats now?
I do.
Few of you guys? It's rad. I love it. I mean, it's my go-to, like my core fashion color line. It's very versatile. A lot of people with fashion color tend to just squirt it right out of the tube and like, okay, I'm good to go. You can customize beyond the few shades that come with the line. And now there is a black. now there is a really dope purple, like an amethyst, like a real purple. I don't know if you experienced the other purples, but this one's like a really super awesome purple. So my shade selection, I like to use the darkest color, but I didn't want to use like fire engine red. So I used the red that comes with the City Beats, and I put maybe 2 pea-sized amounts of black in there. And then I've got a chartreuse, which you can make lime green and neons with the City Beats, even though they don't have specific like neon. So I just used yellow and like the tiniest little dot. I usually say booger. I said it anyway. Whatever. The tiniest little booger of blue, and I get this beautiful chartreuse color. I know that's really appealing. Your face down there, you're like, ugh, that was not pleasant.
Boogie
Then
love.
I know. And then my other ones. This one is just the straight up the orange. I apologize. I don't know the name of the orange one right now, with a little bit of coral. And the other one is yellow, the cab yellow cab yellow. So that's my palette. I'm gonna continue on with my shadow root. If you guys wanna check it out, like as we're going around, when we come back, like I said, I'll get to the fun stuff and the lighter colors and how you would mix red into green without getting like caca or Christmas or something you don't want. I can show you harmoniously how to mix the two. But I'll pass it over to Miss Cassandra over there.
Awesome,
Doing
thank
something
you.
cool, I'm sure.
Well, I'm just working through my foils, and right now I'm getting ready to do my 4th foil, but I just want to give you a quick look at the placement and how it's evolving right now. We've got the bricklay pattern kind of coming into play, and we've got our first horizontal foil working right at the hairline. So we went in with a really, really tiny weave. We had about 80% in the foil, but the next one's what we did is we actually shifted to the sides here and just shifted into that recession for a foil placement that goes right into that recession. I'll hold it up so you guys can see. So you see how it shifts down a little bit? So instead of getting the width of this foil, we now have the width of 2 foils. What this does is a couple cool things. One, it makes sure that there's no dark spot left right in that little corner. It lets your guests part their hair any way that they want and still have an even distribution of light. So it gives you a really nice blend, gives them a universal parting. And it also makes sure that you don't leave any little corner behind, because if you guys ever had that happen, you go to blow dry the front of the hair and you thought you foiled it just enough and you had so many foils in there, but there was one teeny tiny little spot left behind. This erases all of those spots. I want to give you one little quick tip while I'm foiling. So I use a method called a tight fold method. It's not something I came up with, but I've fully embraced it for my career, and it makes all the difference when you're working in these teeny tiny sections. So I've got my next horizontal panel. It's going to cross over these 2 foils. So again, it's kind of filling in all those gaps. I'm going to take my weave, and then what I'm going to do with my foil, I'm actually going to take it and I'm going to fold about a 1-inch lip underneath. So it's going to fold under. It's going to give me a really nice palette to work on. I'm going to use a lot of tension, and I'm going to pull the hair, and it's going to hold my foil into place. Then I'm going to work with my lightener, and today I'm working with the Flash Lift Bonder inside in 20 volume. It's my go-to.
Love it.
What? How many of you are using that? Anybody?
It's my favorite,
Love
and I
it.
cannot stop.
Oh, what? We just got a little
Oh my
something.
God.
We might do a giveaway.
What?
We'll just place it here and bless it with a little Redken.
Staring at it the whole time, I know.
Rise the night. Yeah. So we're going to give that away at the end of the day. I don't know how many hundreds of dollars that packet could make for you, but I see a couple $1,000s worth of applications.
Yeah.
Right?
Easily.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I just...
It's okay. No, I love it. We all love a giveaway, don't we? Yes. So to continue with the foiling method, we have that lip. We've got our lightener applied. So this is where the magic comes in. It's in the folding of the foil. We're going to fold about 2/3 of the way up. And then what we're going to do is take the clean edge of the foil and fold it all the way to the scalp. And that's going to give us a nice clean application. We're not creasing very tightly right at that bottom fold. We're just going to give it a little bit of pressure right above it so you're not sliding your product around. So that lip we left behind, have you guys ever had bleeds with your foils? So I've made it my personal mission in my career to not ever have another foil bleed, because it's the most like disheartening thing when you're rinsing foils. You take that little lip, you give it a little readjustment with your comb, you lock it in, and then you give it one more fold and just put a little pressure on the corners. Locks your foils. You have no bleed marks. You can move your foil back and forth and color in between without it sliding out. And you can see with that fold, gives you a really nice, neat profile right around the hairline for your guests. So that's my favorite foiling method. I use it all over the head. Lets you work nice, neat, and clean, and with a low profile. So that's it.
Yes.
I needed that technique a
I
long
like
time
your
ago,
method,
I'll tell you,
The
right?
clips?
No, the bleed marked thing, like.
No, I'm saying I like your clip foil.
Oh, you like my clip foils?
Like, I feel like
yeah.
we got a thing we
Well,
could put
usually
together.
by Friday I only have one clip left, so I had to use
Same.
foil,
I love it.
right?
Hair shows eat clips like dryers eat socks.
It's so true, right?
get
Yeah,
it.
it's like,
Buy a
is that
fresh
mine?
pack.
I don't know. They all say Sam on them, so I thought they were his. All right. Oh, that's what he told me anyway.
Isn't your middle name Sam?
Yeah, that's it. All right, so here we're starting with our curved sections, okay? So with our curved sections, you're going to see, let's come in with the camera. There's a curved section, and the top of the curved section, let's get together here. Then you can see it. There you go. Oh, yeah. Give him a round of applause. He's doing amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so you can see the curved section. So this hair right here will fall over that section, but it's in this section. It's curved, and then it'll sit underneath the other section. Where are we?
Orlando?
Thanks, Jay. We need on the back camera here. It's on. Where are we then?
It's on the screen, so
Oh,
screen.
I'm looking right there. I'm like, where are you?
That's like
Oh my
weird.
God.
Nick.
Okay, here we go. Focus, focus, focus. Okay, so this hair here is gonna fall over that section. You guys with me? If you're with me, say yes.
Yeah.
All right, this hair is gonna sit underneath that section. So like Jay was saying, when the sections kind of sit over each other, she can move it any which way she wants, and it'll have that softness. If we want more strength, then we just change our flavor, right? Yeah, exactly. So then we just take our top section, and that will sit either further back if you want to see more color in the front, or further forward if you want to see the base color in through the top. Let's take a look at the finished results. All right, here's her finished result. Can you see her? Yes? Okay, good. And then underneath, she's got all that different color. So this top section, if you want to see more of this color in the front, you just put your top section further back or further forward. So it's totally up to you what kind of drama you want in your things. Now, here's a great thing about doing cool colors. Cassandra, remind me again. When I tone and then I tone again, what do I call it?
The toner before the toner, the pre-tone.
The pre-tone, the toner before the toner.
The toner before the
If
toner.
you want to get a beautiful gray tone, you often have to tone it and then tone it again. Otherwise, it goes back to
Yellow.
orange or yellow or that kind of thing. You with me? If you're with me, say yes.
Yes.
Awesome, great. All right, Jay, I got to do my next section here, and I'm using my edging brush to do so because
I
I
like that
love
brush.
applying color with this because it leaves lots behind.
And you like that.
I like it.
I like that too.
Perfect. Well, I think those some awesome things you got going on there and what you did, girl.
Sorry, I'm doing circus tricks. I apologize.
Like
Jay.
the Matrix.
So I'm going in, I'm working through the back. Couple things. Lori was talking about the idea of rounded sections and this and that. So I talked to you about that first section we did, which is underneath. As a principle, everything we color below the round of the head is just going to collapse. Everything we color above the round of the head is going to give us that side-to-side movement. So what I've done is I went in and I put our underneath color, but as we said, instead of just one color, we have one of the 10VV, one of the 10N crossing, so that when they tuck it back, they could have the different colors on there. What we did from there is very simple, my friends. What we were left with was the back and the top. I went in and rounded, took a round section, just like Lori had talked about, right below my hand right there, and then you saw me just pieing it out. I just took 4 pieces of the pie, right, out of that round, and just alternated my pieces. So those are going to fall vertical. You all with me, right? Because it could only fall vertical, horizontal, or diagonal. Those are going to fall all vertical, right where somebody's going to want to see them, coming from the high point of the head. Again, when you see a waterfall, water goes from the top to the bottom. Some of us have been trained to color like water moves the other way, and we need to readjust our eye. There's nothing wrong with starting in the back to be efficient. But let me ask you, how many of you got in this industry to be efficient? I don't hear it. Okay, so that being said, we got in it to create and make things and to impact people. Beauty changes lives, like the event last night. So we went in and we did those pieces. Now as I move to the side, guess what? I'm using the diagonal back line, my friends. If this all sounds foreign to you, come visit us at the Redken Exchange and get your learn on. Right? We couldn't do creative and do these things we do without having creative principles and having our principles down and color principles and all these things. So we invite you to come take a class with us. Here, diagonal back. And all I'm doing is splitting the section right here. Okay? Very simple. Last thing, Rebecca, I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to start my coloring, is think about when you read a book, my friends. When you read a book, why does it read so easy? Because of the fact that, oh, sorry, my friend. When you read a book, it reads easy because you split the book down the middle and two halves open up evenly, right? So the first thing I did before I started this application, I isolated a triangle right on the top of the head, right? Because when I split that triangle in the center part, I have two halves of the book that read the same. And that's the focal point. Whether we call it a money piece, the Victoria, the Secret, whatever we want to call it today, the reality is that's what they see. Clients live two places. They live 1 inch on each side of their part, and they live between their eyes. And that's generally where I try to focus my color work, because that's where they're going to see it. So that's the last piece I'm going to do, because that's my primary focus that I'm going to do. Thank you.
I'm glad. Yes, I'm gonna give you a little hand.
Hey.
And I'm glad you talked about money piece, because that's actually that's a good segue, because that's what I'm gonna do first. He does his last. That might be a different scenario with like progressive color or demi or shades. With fashion color, it's not that serious. I mean, it's basically acidic pigmented conditioner, so it doesn't really matter where you put it first, because it's not gonna progress past a certain time. So for me, I like to do the money piece area first, and you guys see on this side what I did yesterday. Obviously, that's where the brightest color is. So I feel like I want to give you like 12 million hot tips in like my 3-minute little segment, but I'm going to try to like as many as I can. So let me shut up and like actually talk about them. So if you want a nice blend and you want to see the lightest color be very prominent, what's going to happen if you take this red that's at the top and you blend that down with your hands? Because I usually like using my hands versus a brush, because I feel like you really get in there. You can feel the saturation. You can spread apart the hair. It really gets in there. But I still want to see this very bright chartreuse green at the end. So I'm not going to take the red and blend, because it's going to carry down to the green. So I'm going to make sure my gloves are super, super wiped off. And I'm going to use my lightest color first on that section. And if you end up having any little boo-boos, like it's really hard to wipe your gloves off and not like get the darkest color or the shadow root and get little fingerprints. I mean, who gets little tiny fingerprints and little boo-boos? Let's be honest. It happens. You know what that is? It's a happy accident. So what needs to go there was that base color or a darker color. It'll end up dictating the overall look for you in the long run. It's not anything to stress about. The one stressful thing about fashion color is making sure you get the starting level and your canvas ready. Once you got that, the rest is having fun. We shouldn't stress. We should have fun when it comes to fashion color. Anyway, back to what I'm doing. So I'm going to put the green, the chartreuse on first. And then I want that to be nice and bright and not like super muddied up with the, I would say the red. And I could do two things. I don't hate putting colors that aren't supposed to go together. Like I will mix a violet into a yellow and get like kind of an industrial tone and not be mad at it. I mean, we're taught in school, don't put those colors together. They're gonna look like crap or look muddy. But if you're into that vibe, it kind of has an elevated different look. But for the sake of following the rules and what they taught us in school, I'm gonna use a binder color right here where the red meets the green. And in this case, it's gonna be this like marigold yellow color. So that obviously mixes nice with the red, and it's gonna play nice with the green. So once I already have my little chartreuse on there, I'm gonna use that binder color and then make sure I get this really pretty blend from the red down into the green. I'm making sure I use my fingers, but you can over blend. So have you guys ever seen like something go like foggy or milky or kind of like, you see what's happening. It's not as saturated anymore. So if that happens, get more color, stop where you're at. The pigment and the dye load is starting to separate from the suspension or the conditioning like foundation that the color is made out of. So that's what I would do if you want a really bright, strong end color, whatever transition, whatever gradient it is. And all the other stuff, I want a darker color next to that because dark pushes light. With a haircut, short pushes long. So I want that as a contour, like makeup. So anytime I do a bright piece, I'm going to put a dark piece right behind it to make the bright piece pop. So the rest, I'm just going to fart around, do what feels right, just kind of go with it and vibe, and then pass it over to her. Yeah. Buddy.
Yeah. Betty.
Okay. Yeah.
I love you. You're so
Thank
funny.
you. Two of you. I love you. I love you so freaking much. Thank you very much.
So I'm
Always a
continuing.
weird transition. That's why they don't clap, because I'm like, yeah. That's what it is. Okay.
Where was I? No.
Sorry, Dad.
So I'm working through the sides with my foil placement. I want to show you two things on this really quickly. I just want to show you how I work through into the side. The circular sections that we're placing in the top, you actually just want to match those as you go along the side. So if you can see all the way around, they connect. So it creates this really nice curved shape that follows the hairline. And so you're basically just continuing a singular line. Now what you'll notice with all of these foils, and I saved this section to give you guys a good visual on this, wherever two foils meet, that's where your next section is going to overlay. So where you have this intersection here of these two foils, my next section is going to lay directly over it dead center. So it's like that brick lay pattern. So what you end up with is no splitting of the color. So you can continue around this whole hairline. I love to include the back in this placement as well because you get those really beautiful pops of blonde that come right through those front pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and place my foil here. So that's basically how you know your placement is right, is if your next foil is sitting dead center of that seam between the two. So I'm going to go in, just place my weave right in there. These are the Framar Desert Bloom embossed foils. So again, I'm going to go in with my tight fold method. This lip, I swear, is a game changer.
Tight.
You want me to turn towards the camera? Can you see? Would that be better? There we go. Is that good? Okay. So we're going to go in, place our flash lift, bonder inside, and 20 volume. Another key that I like to do is actually use my saturation a little bit lower than where I want it and then move it up. So I just shift it up gently so I'm not going in and placing it right on that top. Then I'm going to go in full saturation. And here's the fold again. 2/3 of the way up. Clean edge all the way to the scalp. And then you can do this last fold. I love to do it around the hairline. You don't have to. That lip we left behind, pick it up, slide your comb all the way to the scalp, lock it down. And then what you can do is it allows you to pick those foils up. You see how that moves? You just have that lip, you readjust it, and then lay it back down. And it never slides out. So it gives you a really good safety net with the bleeds. So this is the beginning of the finished section. I just have this side to do, but you can see it creates that beautiful headband shape. This is one of my favorite placements to do in the salon.
All right, so we've worked with curved sections so that we create a little bit more of that movement and that flow over top of each other all the way around the head, and then we'll do our top color. You can incorporate some of the top color here and there in between your curved sections if you like, depending on how much drama you want to see from the top to bottom.